Indonesia's anti-drug agency has just proposed building a prison, but not any prison. They're talking about building a prison on an island guarded by crocodiles in order to hold death row drug convicts. It might sound ridiculous to us, but this isn't so ridiculous in a place like Indonesia. It's all part of a project by the anti-drugs chief, Budi Waseso, who's planning on visiting various parts of Indonesia, all the islands, and finding the biggest and baddest crocs for this island. I actually have a quote, Margaret. Here's what he said. "We will place as many crocodiles as we can there. I will search for the most ferocious type of crocodile. You can't bribe crocodiles. You can't convince them to let inmates escape." Yes, Mr. Waseso, you cannot bribe crocodiles. But again, I mean, this is just ridiculous. Indonesia is known for having very strict drug laws, predominantly Muslim country. So, I mean, it's not surprising, but then you hear crazy things like this, right? Combined with the stories we've heard of for example, the Bali 9, a few Australians that were murdered by firing squad. They'll literally tie you up to a pole and mow you down for drug trafficking. So these laws are kind of seen as draconian to a lot of other people, but to them it's common practice. I don't know. I'm taking one little sentence that anti-drug chief said. Am I blowing this out of proportion, or do you think this represents their outdated laws in general?
I mean, their laws are quite draconian in nature, being that they have these severe penalties for drug use and drug trafficking. I know we saw an image of a woman being flogged, presumably for an offense that wouldn't be. There's no flogging here in the U.S. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, prior to the Bali 9, there was Chappelle Corby, who was also handed down this ridiculous sentence in Indonesia for. She was accused of trafficking. She still maintains her innocence to this day. Look. We use dogs. That's where I'm going with this. They use crocs. That's ridiculous, nonsensical, and absurd. But at the same time, here in the U.S., to guard our prisoners, to create a sense of fear and enforcing, we use dogs that bark and growl, that have sharp teeth. So you tell me how this is.
Well, how it's different. I mean, well, look, we're talking about taking people, putting them on an island, and he's saying we're going to surround them by ferocious creatures, and he's referring to them like they're not human beings, like they're not
Peter
people.
Pan of him.
Right. And James Bond too. I mean, look, I feel like in the future we're going to look back on these kinds of things the same way we look back today, for example, I don't know, like slavery, and you look back and you say, wow, how can one human do this to other people? They look at them like they're not even real people. They're objects. They're there to work, and that's it. I feel like we're going to look at this the same way. I mean, these are people who just got into the wrong life, not because they're bad people, and when they were children they decided, ooh, I'm going to be a drug dealer because I'm evil and I want to be a bad person and go against the Muslim religion. No, these are people that got into bad things when they were young, who didn't necessarily have the same upbringing as everyone else.
Issues with addiction and other mental things going on as
so
well.
it's like, do you want to say that you're just going to put them all on an island so that they can't escape, surrounded by crocodiles? Are you really going to tell me we're going to compare dogs and crocodiles? Come on, big difference.
I'm not going to tell you
what would you rather
run
from?
I would rather personally run from, well, neither. But if I had
if you had a choice,
it depends on how quick the crocodile would be. Listen, is he the Trump of Indonesia? This seems like a pretty outlandish. He's going to find the best crocodile with the sharpest teeth.
Ridiculous.
I mean,
outrageous. I mean, again, we're going to have to see if this actually happens, because right now they're just planning on it. They're drawing out the plans. Again, he has to go and travel to who knows how many islands to find only the best, fittest crocodile. So I guess we're going to have to stay tuned on this story and really see if they actually go about making an evil crocodile island.